Hey guys, this is Let's Play a Game, and today we're going to be playing a game called SUMMERHOUSE. I saw it was on Steam. It's only like $5, I believe, and the concept seems to be, well, building a house, and these 4 maps to choose from. I'm not sure if you get any more, but it looks like we have a sort of mountain, European looking area, a nice grassy plain, a city, and a desert. So why don't we go with the city area? Now, I've played a little bit of this game. It's very satisfying, I do have to say. Each of the maps do give a little bit of variation, just enough. And you just can build whatever you'd like. So you start off with a few little block structures, and there's plenty to choose from. I've only unlocked a few things so far. I haven't really played that much, just made sure the game was working alright. And it seems pretty straightforward. And what I'd like to do is make sure that my house has a few important structures. Oh, right there I just got a new block. So, it doesn't seem super clear, I think mostly on purpose, that the conditions for getting whatever block you'd like seem pretty ambiguous. And that's a decision that I feel like some people might not like. I typically usually like some more direction, but I don't mind the more ambiguous, vague goal of just building something cool. So it seems like I missed out a little bit with the design here, but I believe if I select something with this trash can button, I can just get rid of it like that. So let's try starting over here. Well, wasn't quite happy with how that turned out. Just want to get a good frame going. And you wouldn't think you can do a whole lot with some blocks here, but you'd be quite surprised. With the whole housing situation, I think that's one of the coolest things is having like a little asymmetrical house. Something that has a little bit of story and character and makes you think, wow, they had no plan on making this thing. And it's true. I want it to look like something kind of slapdash, kit bashed into existence and not entirely organized. There's beauty to be had in something that's just not quite symmetrical. So we'll take this new block we got, this cool little bird resting on top of a roof. And we need a sort of smaller roof for our smaller block structure here. I would like something pointed or rounded of some kind, so I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for, but each of these blocks hopefully gives me a little something. I think this will be perfect. Now I have this little overhang here, and it does bother me a little bit, so maybe we can find something or other. I can patch that up. Now, I'm a firm believer in the concept of limitations inspiring creativity, and I do sincerely like how limited I feel. It's just something about finding creative solutions for problems that gets the brain going, and this game is a fantastic example of how to do that right, I think. I really like that roof design, but I think with this new concrete block we got, or stone rather, we can get something a little bit cooler going. Let's try to flip it so that way it looks a little less symmetrical. One amazing touch with this video game is the ambient noises, and they do change from level to level. You can maybe hear a few like excited shouts of people in the city, a few birds since we're out on the city outside, and I just think it's a really nice touch. I'm just taking a minute to look at all the blocks I have and the different options. I'm still trying to stick to this asymmetry. Just unsure how to connect everything. I think I'm just gonna make the building a little bit smaller. Alright, From here we can put a little roof on. I pointed one from earlier. Stick it on right on top. And I like how it sort of protrudes a little bit, and I would prefer if it's covered the whole back. So I think I'll stick another one. Leaves this cool little lip. Now for this one, I think maybe one of these older style chimneys would do it some justice. The door from earlier, right down there. Now I think this will be a little bit more of a residential home, and I want it to have this sort of older look. Like it's been around here for a while, and once the world aged, it stayed the same. These huge towers right behind it. And like I said earlier, I would like it for it having all these different windows and a different look. Almost as if you can see how it changed generation by generation. Trying to imagine what this would look like from the inside, and I'm just thinking of a bunch of weird random bedrooms and interconnected rooms and shared living quarters that would make anyone uncomfortable, and I'm just thinking a very happy family lived there, and even though they might not have been the wealthiest, the richest, they might as well have been the happiest. Like this ivy, just showing how long this house has been around for. Do have a good amount of plants too. One thing I do have to praise this game for is the sound effects. Everything just kind of feels bright and warm and bubbly. Also very calming. One thing that doesn't really go appreciated that much in games is the sound design. And sure, it's easy talking about guns and shooting games and sounds of swords clashing. But I think it's important to talk about the random pops and blips and sounds as you scroll through menus, and the various ambience tries to get you all immersed. I think this antenna would be a really cool, neat addition. Because even though there's clearly a town with radio and whatever it may be, they still need a satellite dish. Maybe they crowd around the television late at night. I'm wondering what kind of story these people would tell. Like, maybe they work at a gas station, or maybe they work at a restaurant, or what their commute would be like. But I'm thinking of leaving this as just a home. Sort of the kind of vibe as classic Wonka movies. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with the decrepit house that the whole family lives in. I wish there was a little bit more I could add, but I don't want to do too much. I'm thinking over here. Maybe we can add maybe place of labor. Maybe this can be a office of sorts. I'm not sure if I want this to be a office or maybe an apartment next door. Something more than that. Even though that looks a little off, I kind of like it. Maybe I can make this a sort of shop on the first floor, a house on the second. Sort of thing you'd see on a place that's hard pressed for room. Something simply efficient. Always been curious about practicality of living in one of those. Really enjoy how seamlessly a lot of the pieces just link together. Really makes it nice and simple. Just easy enough for you to figure out something or other. Maybe a few advertisements on the window. Big glowy sign of some kind. Hanging off the side of the building, and the vending machine out front would be perfect. And then on the second floor we can make a nice balcony. Maybe a clothesline. this kind of looks like smoke. So maybe I'll use it like that. I don't want to use too much. But I do want everything to kind of look busy and interesting. Something that you can just look at and wonder, wow. You know? Maybe a payphone sitting up front. Would be good. Perhaps this one here, actually, with the woman. I'm not quite sure how I unlocked that one, but I do know there was a piece I did unlock. Maybe a sort of abandoned house could show the age of the neighborhood. I see these like old house pieces that show like decay. Just want this area to tell a story. And there's one thing that you can appreciate about environmental games such as this, it's the ability to make your own story. Maybe a foreclosure notice right there. Some graffiti that some kids left all over, thinking that this place was useless. As it's left to decay. Not quite sure how I'm going to use this. It's a red block, but I think I'll stick to the gray for now. It juxtaposes the background pretty nicely. Dry grass makes that light concrete gray pop just a little bit more. And I'm thinking here we could have some sort of official's home. And just like that, I can unlock a new block. Again, I'm not quite sure what the requirements are, but more than happy to get a new one. I think maybe for this one we try to get a more pointed roof. The only issue I can point out with this game is that staircase right there. Some blocks are a little bit hard to distinguish from one another. Sometimes you might just think, oh, that's definitely a background block, or it's definitely a house block, and you might just be wrong. But you can learn and improve every little bit. Just get that little more knowledge to understand the game a little bit better, just a little bit more. One thing that's an interesting thing to tackle is the perspective. So you'll see me switching from side to side and looking, see if I place something wrong, because to be quite frank, I feel like I have most of the time, and that might not be true. Kind of like how that looks with all the mashed together blocks. I don't want it to be quite like Victorian, but it does look to be a little bit of what's happening here. I thought for sure that item would be a lot bigger, but like I said, perspective. The shadows do a lot to make this game feel less flat, and they're very dynamic. Not that there's anything wrong with some flat shadows in a pixel art game. But this game has a very wavy, like, feeling that's hard to describe. Some of my favorite games are of this sort of style. Namely, Dave the Diver. I really enjoy that one. If you haven't played that one, it's sure a treat. Cannot recommend that game enough. This one has been great too. Thinking of maintaining that asymmetrical absurdity that I would really like to continue. That sort of look that makes you question if somebody truly qualified made that sort of building. And for the record, I very much am not. I don't think I'll put any light up signs, but thinking of this place being a sort of area of importance in this admittedly very small neighborhood of mine. I'm sorry if you're looking for a more involved commentary maybe, but with this game I really think that a lot of it can be appreciated by me just being a little bit more quiet, maybe a bit more subdued. And I don't want to ramble too much over everything. Just want everybody to take in the soft piano. Little bubble pops as I mouse over every item here. Listen to the birds chirp and the people scream in the background. Trying to find an awning right now that would look best above that windowsill. Can't seem to find what I'm looking for though. Planning on not adding plants to this one. I want to keep it fairly tame. I wish I had a little bit of a smaller window. Maybe these small square ones right here. Can add some socks airing out. Maybe a light or two. hanging off the side of the building. I'm planning on ending this once I complete this house here. I'm not quite sure when. Guess we'll know when we get there. I just don't want to keep you guys too long. Appreciate all the time you guys have spent with me. Listening to me ramble and just talk about cool little tiny games like this. Indie games are just an absolute treat. And a lot of people nowadays, they want to talk about the mistakes and the failures of how these gigantic games fail. And to be quite honest with you, these really big next-gen games, they don't interest me nearly as much as a small little game by a few people. I believe this was made by one man. I think he goes by the name of Friedemann. Could be wrong. And I'd much rather drop $5, $10, $20 on even a good 30 minutes, like right now, knowing it'll go to somebody like this who put a lot of passion in this. And I'm no game designer, no game dev, and I can't imagine the amount of work, time, dedication. I'm not nearly as creative or technologically skilled as these people, and I can't help but appreciate what they've made. Might not be the most advanced thing in the world or the coolest, but like I said, that creativity blossoming and limitations, it's just something you can feel. It's palpable. When it comes to these small devs with their limitations of having only a few people, a few hands, a few minds. And this is the backbone of the gaming industry. With the Let's Play game series, I'm hoping to show a little bit more about that. Step away from the controversies and the anguish that many people feel, understandably so at times, and just think a little bit more about how awesome some of these games are. Some of them aren't going to be as calming or as placid, tame even. my hope is that each and every one of them are just a little bit different. I'd like to thank all the people out there putting out there a little bit of different in the world for all of us to experience, even if it's not exactly what we would like it to be. Just because that little bit of different is what keeps creativity alive. And with that, I think that's my neighborhood done. Just go back over it one more time so you guys can look. It's a little bit all over the place, but I quite like how it turned out. It's just a small little outskirts town. You can imagine it like an up sort of situation, if you would. These people, multi-generational, are around for a long time, keeping their houses, their homes as unique, creative, and fixed up as it could. As the cityscape encroaches in the distance. Some stories over, such as this crumpled up house here. But the rest still going on anyway. People happy. Life flowing, birds chirping. Everything in a relative state of repair, despite the disorganization. But thank you for spending some time with me, and this is Summer House. I highly recommend this game. Just for $5, you can support a great developer. And, uh-oh. Looks like I accidentally deleted a block there. Sorry about that. In case you can't tell, these are the one of the most least organized videos in the world, but again, it's just a stream of consciousness. I want to include you guys on a personal level. Have a conversation. And make sure to give this game a good old college try. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.